The Movies of the Meek, where we watch made-for-TV movies and miniseries so you don't have to. From Gia to Xenon, Hysteria to Sybil, welcome to Movies of the Meek.
She Creature is the 2001 HBO production, which is a remake of a 1956 movie also titled She Creature. They changed it slightly to be about a mermaid, and it is about a traveling carnival that discovers a sexy mermaid lady when they go to an old man that they've pissed off's house, and they find a mermaid in his basement, and they decide that they must take it to America so that they can get fame and get glory. And it is about all the crazy stuff that happens when you accidentally bring the queen of the mermaids on board your ship. She's the Mermaid Queen.
She is definitely a queen.
I did actually find out that the special effects company that worked on this movie, not only did they work on Splash, but
Oh my god.
but they also worked on the movie Aliens.
What?
And this is actually the second queen creature that they had worked on, and they cited that as being, just a way that they knew what they were doing,
This is all the practical effects, correct?
Yeah, they're like,
Okay.
We've designed a queen before.
It was very alien-like.
It reminded me a lot of the end of the movie Call the Conqueror.
Okay.
Which is also like a practical effect. That's the mouth just looks identical, I'll say.
I think, and I have not seen this movie in years, but the movie Species,
Ooh.
I think it looked like that alien as well.
A little bit.
But yeah, it was a cool monster.
Yeah. Now, the intro.
This is one
Okay.
of the first things I wanted to bring up too.
So it's obviously terrible.
Yeah.
It's later on that you find out that it isn't a completely random thing that happens.
Which is what you think the entire movie.
You find out that is the murder of the old man's wife.
Yes.
However, when it first happens, you're like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, because it's black and white, and the movie's in color, and
Yes.
and it like takes place in what looks like some kind of medieval castle. So, I had no idea what was going on, and it's very brief too. It's like only like a minute or two. But yeah, it's a flashback, I guess.
And Mermaid Vision is in red also.
Yeah. Mermaid Vision.
Which they use multiple times.
Yeah.
And every single time you're just like, this is a good choice. Now this is when they go from the flashback straight to the carnival. And it's they're talking about they've brought from the land of America a savage zombie, which is of course just a black gentleman in fake chains. He breaks out of them, and then you find out, of course, that is not a real zombie. It's all just a con job. The black gentleman, his name's Bailey. He ends up walking into the mermaid's chamber, and she sings to him. Mm-hmm. And it's when the mermaid sings to him that he is lulled into a lovely trance that calms him, so that they can put him back into his jail cell, and then they don't have to deal with any of the people complaining that the show is fake, asking for their money back, because now they're convinced that it's real. Now, Carla Gugino plays the mermaid lady. Her name is Lily. I'll just call her Carla because it's easier. So when he walks in, she's singing. Of course, we find out that is also fake, and that even the singing is being played on a record. And And so there's this old drunk man who's just so stoked that there's a mermaid there, and then he ends up seeing the mermaid just, not with her tail, and he is disgusted. You would think that the dead giveaway that he would have had would be that Carla Gugino is in a tank without water.
Yeah. The first thing I thought too.
Because compared to the mermaid that he has at home, the mermaid he has at home needs water.
Yeah, it's not even like he doesn't know like the biology of mermaids yet. He is well versed in his mermaid lore.
He's not only well versed in his mermaid lore, but like it's infected every part of every facet of his life. Like it drove his wife insane. It drove him insane. They kept insanely descriptive journals with like maps and graphs and
He is an
drawings.
expert, you could say.
Yeah, he is the master of mermaids. And yet for some reason he's like, she's not real, which just made me wonder, why did he even go to that carnival? Was he looking for another mermaid?
I thought that he heard that they had a mermaid and he was there to warn them, but his reaction to her dressed up as a mermaid was that of like astonishment and joy. So yeah. I don't really know what his deal was. To be honest,
they say the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, and he's just sick of the mermaid he has at home.
Yeah.
And so he sees this new mermaid.
She's a real handful.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing is, so Bailey is this zombie character. And he's like, oh mate, come on, never get to go to the pub, and
Dude, that's spot on, Iris.
and they're like, you're part of the act, you can't go to the pub, they're gonna see you, and he's like, oh, I mean, boy, it's the last night of the show. Come on, let me hang out. It's the classic narrative from the movie The Prestige. And the reason that I find that whole conversation particularly funny is because of the fact that immediately after they tell him that he can't go because if he's seen in public, it'll ruin the act, Carla's immediately caught and it ruins the mermaid act.
Yeah. I think it might be due to his skin color. That's why they don't want him in public.
Well, yeah.
It is 1900. I mean, like,
yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was funny too. Like they're like immediately point out as hypocrites for for their treatment of Bailey. Poor Bailey.
Yeah.
He gets like the shit job the whole movie. Like he's the mermaid babysitter the whole voyage.
Yeah, he's a security guard that does a terrible job because the fucking ship crew ends up finding out about the mermaid immediately.
Yeah.
Now, once the old man is now angry and distraught by the fact that this mermaid is not a real mermaid, it's when they're once again they just want to keep their money, so they're like, let's give you a ride home, and he's like, that's perfectly acceptable. He brings them inside. They're like, damn, this dude's rich. And they're looking around his house, and he's like, sit down at this table. Let me tell you everything I know about mermaids. And
it's a huge plot dump. Like,
it's just so much exposition. Now, that is where they do tie in, similar to Splash 2, the full moon turning the mermaid human. Yeah. It happens once a month. And she turns human, and and then it's at that point where he's like, oh, you don't like my fucking mermaid myths? Well, come check out this one I got in the basement.
You think you would have started with that?
Yeah,
but it's cool.
And so he brings them down to the basement. They're of course blown away. The main guy, who cares what his name is, he thinks it's fake. He's like, do you have a clear breathing tube? How is this possible? And the old man's like, it's a fucking mermaid, bro. just look at it. Look at its weird freak body. Look at its strange body that sometimes is clearly a dummy, like a 200-pound mold of this person, and sometimes it's actually the person. And he's just like, this is magnificent. If only we could take it to be observed by scientists. And he's like, nah, dog, I'm in love with this mermaid now. And so they leave.
Yeah.
They go back there. They go to sleep that night. And then there's this terrible transition that happened. Okay. Which is where it goes from Guy and Carla Gugino talking in a bed. And she's like, man, that's crazy. We saw a mermaid today. And it's like, yeah, it is. How about you go to sleep and I'm going to do some stuff. And then it pans up and like looks at some flames. And then there's like a cross dissolve. And then it pans down. And that was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very strange choice.
And then, of course, she's asleep. And so he's like, I'm going to get my boys together. So he gets Bailey. He gets a few other people together.
A few of his mates.
And they go to try and steal the mermaid. They get caught by the old man. The old man's like, I told you I never fucking sleep, bitch. And they're just like, oh, fuck. And that's when Bailey accidentally kills him by startling him to death. Bailey is like, I'm gonna go to hell. And then the main dude is like, you're not gonna go to jail. And he's like, I didn't say jail, I said hell. And he's like, oh yeah, I can't help you with that.
Oh, for Bailey.
And then it's at this point where we're starting to get introduced to the mermaid sound design, which I hated so much.
Well, I would argue that the sound design of the entire movie was terrible.
It was one of those things where it's like, it's this really big stereo effect.
Yeah.
That's like kind of out of phase. And then you can also tell that they did like, you know, garage band fucking space designer where it's like, you're like, they're in a small room, so I'm going to use the small room setting as an echo chamber. And the end result is like this sound that's just, horrible to hear.
It's like when I used the narrator setting for my microphone because I was like, I do podcasts. This works. And I sounded like a robot.
but yeah, anytime she made any noises, I hated it.
It was terrible.
Yeah. You know. so
they steal this mermaid.
They steal the mermaid. They knock her out. They put her on a boat to America.
And this is where the movie really begins.
And yeah, this is where it picks off. You know, Carla is shocked that it's on the boat when she sees it, you know, and when she sees it, the creature looks dead as fuck, you know, but there's something about it. She thinks it's sexy, you know, and she's just like, I'm into this.
She is down.
This is also where we're introduced, when it's on the boat, we're introduced to its weird mermaid hands. Which
it has the webbing.
It like transitions back and forth between like kind of being normal hands to like this clear, like, I don't know, silicone glove type of thing. Yeah, it's just very strange. I wasn't a fan. Now, Carla Gugino. We end up learning a little bit about her past, and we find out that she is what the sailors call barren, which
meaning
she can never have children.
Yes,
she is a
or can she?
wasteland down there. And so she becomes a lady of the night.
Perfect profession for a barren woman. That's what they say in the movie.
Oh boy.
That's what they say.
And it is one of the sailors recognizes her as a lady of the night from his past, and he's like, that lady had this birthmark right in between her titties, and he tries to see, and she's like, yeah, my fucking
She's like,
face.
no.
Now, Carla Gugino goes and she talks to the mermaid again, using her mind, and then that night she has a dream. So she wakes up to Agnes being super dead, and she's like, I said Miles, not Agnes. Oh no. And then there's another jump scare reveal. She thinks that the mermaid's outside of the hallway. She goes and checks it out. Mermaid's not there, but that's when they start using Dutch angles, which is when we now know we're in a horror movie. And then the crazy part happens, which is in the second jump scare, she doesn't have any hands. And blood gushes out of her mouth.
Yeah, that was jarring.
That's like the craziest this movie gets.
Yeah. Well, once I saw that, I was like, oh shit, what are we in store for? Like, is this a super gory, like, body horror? Like, and then, no, it's like, that's the worst it gets. I mean, there's some gore towards the end, but it's not like that.
No. Super bizarre.
So at that point, I guess the mermaid is playing tricks on her. Was kind of like getting into her mind, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of the mermaid's main tool this whole movie is her mermaid mind tricks.
That raises a few things. Was the mermaid like taking over Carla's body?
I don't know. Like it almost seemed like the mermaid. I originally thought she was turning Carla into a mermaid.
I thought that too.
But that's not the case at all, really. She was just messing with her mind. But I mean, I guess we can reveal that the mermaid impregnates Carla with a mermaid baby.
Yeah.
So is that how they mate? They find females and they like use telepathy to control them and to impregnate them somehow?
I guess so.
Which kind of solves the issue we had the last two episodes where we were like, how do mermaids have children? If they can just do it without ever having sex, then that's great, you know? Problem solved, Max. But yeah, it was really weird. I don't know. I don't know what.
Did she not have sex?
Well, she did. She did with the Irishman.
Yeah.
Well, that was the scene where they have sex like 3 times, but the one scene she tries to kill him, like the mermaid is controlling her and she like is strangling him during sex. But I don't know if that's how she was impregnated.
Yeah.
It was just like randomly in the movie, she's like, I think I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, like what is going on?
Her accent drifts in and out too.
Oh yeah.
I could never get a hold on what she was.
Also, the guy who calls her out, that
my boy Miles,
he had an American accent.
Oh yeah. Which
I was confused about if they were coming from Ireland, but whatever. I guess he could have traveled there, but he's like the only crew member who doesn't have like some kind of European accent.
Yeah. Because he's a cool guy.
He was a cool guy.
Now,
all right.
The mermaid ate Miles. Okay.
Yeah.
Straight up ate her.
Yes.
And now Carla thinks the mermaid is super sexy.
Yeah. It was like a gift. It was a gift to Carla.
And now this raises a super important question, which is, so the mermaid ate Miles, and that should have made her stronger. Okay. Strong enough that she tries to jump off the boat and go into the water. However, Miles was drunk, and so eating Miles made the mermaid drunk.
Yeah.
Which raises the question, how drunk do you think Miles was that eating his body would make you drunk?
He was probably when we saw him talk to Carla, he was pretty intoxicated and was drinking during the conversation.
Yeah.
So he was probably pretty blasted, Max.
I just feel like your blood alcohol level would have to be at like a lethal level for someone to get drunk off of eating your flesh.
The thought of her eating a whole man is kind of insane too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Did she transform to eat him?
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah.
But I appreciate how this movie answers some of our questions about mermaids, even though it creates more. But the one I was really hung up on with, which was the mermaid pregnancy, has been solved in this movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they reproduce through regular women,
yes,
basically.
yes. That sounds, which doesn't make any sense.
Which
but,
is very confusing.
yeah. I don't. Well, that's the thing is like, so they have to go to a populated area of humans.
Yeah.
I either transform into a human during the full moon or be lucky enough to find a woman walking along the water and impregnate them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a crazy way to have children.
Yeah. But you know, that's the siren's lore. You know, they're able to use their telepathic hypnosis abilities to lure the ladies into their weird island area.
All those female sailors. But the rest of this movie is just kind of like her going insane, Carla going insane.
Yeah. Which I also love, you know. So there's the one point where she's real crazy at this point, you know. She lets the mermaid free, like completely free. She's just like, just do whatever you want, and the mermaid is like looking at her. She's like sizing her up, and then the mermaid's like, I'm a ghost. And right when it's about to leave, Bailey walks in, and Bailey's like, oh, what you doing? And the mermaid switches to Mermaid Vision, kills Bailey. They have a legitimate funeral for Bailey.
Yeah, I thought that was nice.
I did not expect to have an entire funeral scene.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either, but
yeah. And then so Carla becomes this prisoner, and it's at this point that she's gone like completely mad. And she's like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like chain smoking, pointing at shit on maps, and just being like, "There's this crazy conspiracy theory that I think I got to the bottom of."
Carol.
It's just like one of those things where it's just like. She's gone so insane. She's like, you gotta give me this book. You gotta get to me so I can figure out what's going on. And he's like, I don't want you to be thinking about this kind of stuff. And she's like, it's either that or I just fucking kill myself because I'm doing nothing in this room. And so he immediately gets her the book. She gets super into it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so it gets to the full moon, which once again, something I wish they did in Splash 2.
Same.
They finally get to a full moon. A mermaid becomes completely human. And so that is when, of course, all the sailors want to rape it.
Yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
There's a little almost rape scene.
And that also brings up a very confusing thing that happens, which is that the captain is going, he's just like, oh yeah, let the boys have a little fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Which that in itself is already super fucking weird.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering, I mean, like, Bailey was just murdered by this thing.
Yes.
And it grows legs, and they're suddenly not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like all the sailors are gathered around this mermaid, and like they're just pushing her around and hitting her.
And then,
kind of disturbing.
And the reason why I say that it's strange is because the captain is like all about it.
Yeah.
The captain is like, yeah, boys, everyone have a term. Go and do it. But and then it's Agnes brings the captain away. He's like, he stops them, he stops them from raping his mermaid. And he brings the captain away, and the captain is just fucking snapped. And he's like, you have no idea what the creature made me do. You have no idea. And that's when you end up finding out that they're going nowhere near America.
Yeah.
The captain has been charting them to the mermaid's home this entire time.
And he's aware of this.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, when the captain reveals that, you now realize that it's been under his control the entire time.
Yeah.
So why was he like pumped that the sailors were like gonna rape it? Was he not under control during that short period of time?
I don't know.
Because she's human, maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
You would think he would want them to kill her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or if he was aware of it, he should have killed her. I don't know.
Now, this is when it finally transforms into a full monster. And I actually know the process in which the transformation happens. It goes from, so that, of course, that lady is not a real actress. She's just a model. And then it goes from that to a prosthetic dummy, okay?
Okay.
And then they transition from just this lifeless dummy to another cross dissolve, which ends up going to this creature, which is prosthetic. Mm-hmm. And that is actually a different person underneath the creature. She's like a dancer.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
And was the creature mixed with CG as well?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought I saw a few shots, especially when she was like running in the hallway. It looked terrible.
So one, when the transition happened, it reminded me a lot of like, have you ever seen that like any taxidermy mermaids?
No.
Where it's like they legit just took like the top part of a monkey and then combined it with like a big fish.
No. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's not good looking. But it was kind of interesting where it when it makes that first transition to that weird model, I was like, oh, that looks a lot like the fake taxidermy mermaids that I've seen. And then it transitions into this weird alien monster creature.
Then it just straight up turns into an alien movie for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just this creature running around the ship killing people.
And like you were saying, like sometimes it looks okay.
Yeah, like the actual suit that they created looked okay.
Yeah,
you know, it looked. I mean, if it's from the same people who did the Alien movies or Aliens, there's definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the quality of the Aliens, but it was in the ballpark. You know.
Yeah,
it looked way better than her as a regular mermaid with the fin prosthetic. So,
there's maybe 2 shots of it where you see the full body, and it does look like legitimately horrible.
Yeah.
It just honestly, like, you can clearly once again tell that it's a prosthetic, and it like kind of sags, and it's very clearly like attached to skin. You know, and it's just one of those things where it's like you see it and you're just like, oh, illusion ruined.
And you don't really see the entire mermaid that often. Like, it's usually you just see that model topless with, like, you know, like the waist scales. Yeah. Or you see, like, her and then she does this thing where she, like, dips her tail, like, out of the tank and, like, touches people's faces to fuck with them. So that's all you see. And there's a couple, like you were saying, there's like twice that you see the whole thing. That one scene, I think it's right before she murders Bailey. You don't see her entire body, but you see her kind of like stand up in front of Carla.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that even, like, what are the physics there? Like, how is she standing on her fin? I was just like picturing like a snake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's if you so they actually released an action figure line of of this special effects team's series of films, and they did actually release a figurine of this movie, the Mermaid Queen. And it is very obviously like a gigantic tail that's clearly derived from a snake.
nice.
Like you can tell. So yeah, astute observation there.
Oh, thank you.
Now it kills everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was shocked by that,
yeah.
especially the Irishman.
Now my favorite part, of course, being the very climax of all of it, which is where the so. So they're coming on, obviously, this group of islands, these forbidden islands that shouldn't exist, which is the mermaid homeworld. And when they're getting there, it's like CGI water.
Oh, dude, it looks so good.
CGI islands.
Yeah, it's fucking bad.
It is so bad.
It is really, really bad.
Like, I loved it so much. Because the whole movie's doing fine, okay? Like, it's fine, you know? It's 2000... It's 2001, so like the weird like glitchy like footage that they're doing, like all of that is super stylistic of that era, so it's fine. And then you get to this one shot where they're like, "Where did the captain take us?" And that is the first time that the boat looks like a prop boat.
Oh yeah.
It looks like garbage, and then when you see what they're looking at and it's all CGI water, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was a terrible decision to show the water and island. Yeah, they look out and you see this like terrible 2001 water.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to them and they're on like the edge of the ship, and it looks like a set. And like they're just getting like someone's off camera just with a bucket of water, you know, like. Ugh.
It reminded me of like the CGI water effects from the video game for the Phantom Menace.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like it's so shitty.
Yeah. It's very polygonal.
and it's then that you get to, you know, so the mermaid monster is now going around, the queen alien is going around killing everyone, and she's like screaming out to the water, and it lures all these mermaids to the outside of the boat, and that's like my favorite scene ever.
Yeah.
Because it's like these beautiful mermaid women swimming in the water, and then their queen is this horrible fish monster.
Yeah. And she's just like tearing arms off of corpses and feeding it to her children.
It's so good.
Yeah. That was the coolest part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
But she murders everyone but spares Carla. Because
Yes.
they have this connection. I was like, is Carla going to join the mermaids? Is she going to turn into a mermaid? And the mermaid was almost like just kind of indifferent towards her. You know what I mean? Like Carla like holds her hand to her womb and like I'm with child.
Yeah.
But like the mermaid just kind of is like whatever and fucking leaves. And that's it. Like she's just stranded on the ship for 2 weeks.
And so okay, so it goes to another black and white section.
And then I was like, wait, is this where like the bookends meet? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is this the same scene from the beginning?
It's not.
No, it's just another stylistic black and white shot.
Yeah, and so it's a group of people discovering Carla on the boat, and then it goes to a bunch of narration where it's just Carla wrapping up the end of the fucking movie.
Oh, dude, it's so fucking terrible.
And then she's like, and now my baby is born. And it's a mermaid. End.
She says something way dumber than that, though.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
It's some like weird, like sympathetic, inspirational quote or something.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And then she doesn't call her daughter a mermaid. You just see her daughter's eyes glow red.
Yeah.
Because Mermaid Vision is red, apparently. Which shouldn't make any sense because if she was a mermaid, she would have her fin because it's not the full moon.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But that's it. I enjoyed this one, Max.
Now, I got some interesting facts about this film.
Hell yeah.
There's no IMDb trivia or goofs.
Oh.
There was a little bit of trivia. One of the things that I found interesting is from the IMDb trivia is that Christopher Lee was apparently the original choice to play that old man.
What?
Yeah.
That would be so weird. Well, this was
Yeah.
like an HBO production, right? So.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And so this was being an HBO production. They were initially trying to do a series of straight to video films, as was popular in the late 90s. And the original title was War of the Colossal Beast.
What?
Which was changed after filming to Mermaid Chronicles Part 1, She Creature. The idea being this would be the beginning of a trilogy, which of course never happened. Now, they also do have a part at the very end where it does basically say that this is the end of Part 1, which I thought was hilarious. Now, of course, I already said the special effects studio is the same crew as Splash. Now, they stated that the mermaid that we were going to end up creating for this film had to be much more organic than Splash and not feel in any way like a woman wearing a mermaid costume. The budget for the film was $3.5 million.
Damn.
And they shot it in 18 days.
18 days?
Yeah.
Jesus.
The main concept behind the mermaid was its ability to transform its initial appearance into that of a far more monstrous and abyssal creature. It is a queen of its kind, mysterious species living in a remote island, and its physical influence of human beings, and it can induce nightmares. The first stage was played by actress Ria Kilstedt. The makeup process lasted 3 hours a day. There were prosthetic webbed hands that were sculpted, cast in latex, and they were worn gloves. The hair design was from wigs, and there were different configurations. And then there were early designs that featured algae-like protrusions and cephalopod-like tentacles.
Ooh.
But they deemed that they were not attractive enough.
True. I agree.
And so they're like, yeah, let's bail on that. And then the prosthetic teeth, the design were based off of piranhas, were built by David Beneke. Now, the teeth, when she bares her teeth, don't look like a piranha's teeth. They honestly just look like someone just turned her teeth into one giant tooth.
Yeah.
Like it kind of looks like someone just smeared a bunch of like Vaseline on the camera and you can't tell what's happening in her mouth. That's just my opinion. Now, the mermaid spends most of its time in a fish tank. The set was basically designed to hide certain parts of the equipment and mechanisms, obviously. When the mermaid was being played by an actress, the shots used a combination of her and a full-size mechanical tail, which was being moved by, like a little mechanism. The mermaid's tail they thought had to be recognizable and yet innovative. All this stuff, of course, you can find on the wonderful special features commentary track. Now this is one of the most interesting things is that like I was saying, there's a specific sequence that shows the mermaid in full view. The actress was digitally combined with the animatronic tail. Okay. And then in a number of scenes, a full-size rod puppet silicone double of the mermaid was used, and it weighed 200 pounds.
Oh my god.
Now, the final stage of the creature was played by a dancer and actress, Hannah Sim. A suit was used for the upper part of the mermaid, combined with a puppet rig for the lower portion of the body, which could be raised and lowered. The creature was painted by Annie Schoenberg and John Travaka. The actress's legs were locked into the puppet,
Oh my God.
and a harness was being engineered by Kevin Mullen.
Jeez.
A lot of strength in the back was needed to maintain specific body angles whilst the suit was harnessed. Hand extensions with metallic understructure were used to create the mermaid's long claw hands. 6 thorned barbs adorned the caudal fin and serve as perforating weapons. The design had to partially adhere to the 1900s motif of the film, which they explained, "I thought it was important that design of the creature reflected the 1900s sort of motif of film. I think that if the design was more modern looking, might not have worked that well." Which is
what?
just a crazy thing to think about.
So they designed it for the time period?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they designed it thinking about what people thought they looked like in that time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much thought and effort and work went into a movie like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and all for what? I mean, what was this? Maybe 8 minutes of the film, 10 minutes of the film?
Oh yeah, for that creature, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, the work they did was throughout the whole movie with the tank and her 200-pound puppet machine tail that they made, but
Yeah.
it's just crazy. All right, so I found a movie for next week.
Okay.
It's called Mermaids: The Body Found. And it's an Animal Planet mermaid documentary movie.
I'm so stoked.